Beautiful people, all praise be to the Most High. Hallelujah. It is another beautiful day here on the planet Earth. It is July 15th, 2024. If you could just drop a good old comment in the comment section, if you can hear me all right, that would be perfect. We can get this show on the road as we are continuing to talk about central bank digital currencies and this new financial system rollout. So we are back in action. Welcome back to the Moneypot YouTube channel. The Moneypot is a library of educational content created, curated from a biblical perspective. Please note that the information provided here is designed to improve your knowledge of world economics and events, cryptocurrency, personal finance, and much, much more. Please know that the information provided here on the Moneypot channel is not considered financial advice. And we are back here live on another Monday. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, comment as you are feeling led to. I appreciate all sorts of interaction as we here on the Moneypot are planning to put out more and more content as these times just get all the more interesting, dadgummit. Woo! Interesting weekend that we had. And I will give you a forewarning that this will be a relatively quicker video because StreamYard is down right now and they're not allowing me to upload any videos. I had a couple of videos that I really wanted to share with you all tonight, but we'll just save them for another episode because y'all know I'm gonna keep talking about these central bank digital currencies, dadgummit. And that's what we're talking about tonight. We're doing a little bit deeper dive on these central bank digital currencies and what the rollout is going to look like. What we are seeing in other countries and how they're rolling out. Now, if you are interested in learning about blockchain technology and the future of money, please request your free copy of the Future of Money PDF course, or really just booklet, ebook, digital book. As you know, really our goal is to teach people about what is to come with this new financial system, understanding some of the terms of blockchain technology, because we are still in the early adopter stages of cryptocurrency and digital currency in general. Last week we talked about how the Bank of International Settlements has developed a blueprint for the future monetary system, which in this PDF it talks about improving the old and enabling the new. It was an extremely, in my opinion, in-depth live where we talked about what this major world organization that's in collaboration with many other major world organizations are planning to do when it comes to this digital currency revolution in integrating blockchain technology into central bank money. Now, one of the main things that we talked about on the last live was tokenization. And tokenization is this term that basically means to make something that is not digital in nature and making it digital. Here are some of the key takeaways from that report. It talked about how, and we talked about how tokenization of money and assets has great potential, but initiatives to date have taken place in silos. So we talked about ACH transactions taking weeks to take and to move across the world. And then we also talked about this unified ledger that the Bank of International Settlements is proposing for these central bank digital currencies. and how it could capture the full benefits of tokenization by combining central bank money, tokenized deposits, and tokenized assets on a programmable platform. Very, very interesting stuff. And if you did not get the opportunity to check out that live last Monday, I encourage you to. So in this live today, which I'm going to be brief here for you guys, I'm just going to get straight to the point. All right. And what we're talking about. Now, I do have to mention this here, first of all. As we're seeing this continual shift in society, and I think that this past weekend was a major event with the attempted assassination of President Trump. That was a major event that took place. And I really do encourage you not to be distracted by that event in regards to the overall shift that is happening in the economy. There is still going to be this transition to the new financial system. Whether Trump is in office or whether Biden is in office or whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, it doesn't matter. Even an independent for that matter. Central bank digital currencies are coming, and it is going to inevitably affect each and every person's life and ability to choose freedom in their finances. The elites don't want you to think that way, and they just want you to get distracted. It's distraction season. It's a presidential election year, and we have to be mindful of these things. Now, of course, they're going to paint the red side and the blue side as one is for central bank digital currencies, and the other is against these central bank digital currencies, as well as for digital currencies in general. They're going to paint that picture so that people can start to pick sides. But listen, they both are funded by the same people, and they both are just pushing us towards the same agenda. And we're going to see that as we look at other countries and what they are doing with these central bank digital currencies. Now, I want to take a look at a country that's actually very, very close in proximity to the United States. And they do a lot of business with the United States as well. And it is the Bahamas. All right. The Bahamas recently, actually, not recently, they started off their central bank digital currency agenda back in, I believe, in 2020. So they were one of the first economies to start to introduce their central bank digital currency, and it's called the sand dollar. And this sand dollar has not caught fire like the Central Bank of the Bahamas had wished. And I found this article by Cointelegraph that really talks a little bit more about this rollout for these central bank digital currencies and what I believe that we can expect here in the States. Because you see so many similarities between the Bahamas, among Australia, Nigeria, even in China. We see citizens not getting on board with these central bank digital currency initiatives, as well as the corresponding banks in the country. The banks aren't even trying to push their customers towards it. But now we see Bahamas forcing banks to support the sand dollar CBDC. Is looking now for ways to boost its adoption amongst the banks and amongst its citizens. This is a really great article here, and I'm gonna just drop it here in the chat for you all if you'd like to go read it on your own time. Hopefully when the live is over. But you know what? I prefer for you to be educated and to understand what is going on rather than just watch me. So we see here, back in 2020, Bahamas was preparing to introduce this sand dollar CBDC to the general population and also to the banking population. But now, and I'm sorry, this article was written on July 2nd, so about 2 weeks ago. Now we see the Bahamas, Central Bank of the Bahamas is preparing to introduce legislation requiring commercial banks to support this CBDC. And with the hopes of boosting its adoption. There are some key words here in that first paragraph. Legislation. Legislation. We have to be on our regulators and legislators' coattails in regards to these central bank digital currencies, calling them, writing them letters, and telling them how we feel about them. Dadgummit. But we see the Bahamas is preparing to introduce legislation to make commercial banks support the sand dollar, requiring them to support it. And that is what legislation does. Legislation becomes law. And that is scary. And I hope that you don't think that the United States is not above this. I really, as I study what's going on around the globe with these central bank digital currency initiatives, I see how they are starting with smaller economies first before the big economies really start to introduce them. And I say that because, I say that in the sense of like traditional democracy countries. We see China, they've already rolled this out, but they have the ability to because they are totalitarian in a sense, one party rule. But other countries that have elected officials are now having to put legislation on the books to make the CBDC initiative actually work. So we see the governor of the Bahamas Central Bank say that, it's been less than ideal uptake of the CBDCs. And CBDC rules should be ready to be enforced sometime within the next 2 years. John Rule says, we foresee a process where all of the commercial banks will eventually be in that space and they will be required to provide their clients with access to CBDC. Required to provide their clients to access with them, meaning requiring them to use central bank digital currencies. Very, very interesting. And it is very much the nature of CBDCs. Total control. That's why if you look at the thumbnail, it says they want control. And this is how they're going to do it via legislation. It's how many other forms of control have been executed in the past. The article goes on and talk about some of the other countries that have already started their CBDC initiatives. We got China, like I mentioned, Nigeria as well. And Nigeria's is also facing similar issues. And I think it's just a Negro thing. It's the melanin that is not allowing us to get on board with this agenda, dadgummit. And we see right through it. There have been videos of in Nigeria of people trying to withdraw money from their ATMs and not being able to, and just protests being started. Like I said earlier, I wasn't able to upload these videos. I'm sorry. But we are seeing that countries and their citizens are not seeking to get on board with this adoption. For example, in Nigeria, it says, despite many attempts to boost adoption, the country has seen rates of CBDC uptake dwindle among its citizens. As of mid-2023, less than 1% of Nigerians with bank accounts had e-Naira wallets, and less than 1% of those wallets were active weekly. In 2022, Nigeria had 218 million people. That is like, what? Is that 200,000? 200. I'm not good at the mental math. I'm sorry, forgive me. But at least with numbers that high. It's 2 million. So only 2 million people. And those, I can assume who those people were, but that is not a large percent of the population that had the e-Naira wallets. And that's something that I want to also highlight here as well. In Nigeria. Where is that at? Frick. In Nigeria, we see that, first off, not a lot of people are having these wallets and having active wallets. Also, within that, we can get a glimpse as to what is going on with this central bank digital currency rollout. All right. You have the wallet itself and also the central bank digital currency. So you got the digital form of the Naira, which is the fiat currency that Nigeria issues. And then you've got the e-Naira wallet, which is the digital storage that holds the e-Naira. So the e-Naira is required to access the e-Naira wallet is required to access the e-Naira. Very, very interesting. Two levels to being able to access these central bank digital currencies. Very interesting as we see this taking place. And this is why when I talk about cryptocurrency and all the past content, I encourage viewers to get a cold storage wallet. Not your keys, not your crypto. I can't say it enough. E-wallets are going to be very, very popular as digital currencies start to gain adoption. And having your own crypto wallet, not associated with a central bank wallet, is going to be very, very valuable in my opinion. It can give you the ability to have a certain level of purchasing freedom. Because those central bank wallets, let's not even say that you forget your password, but let's say that you've done something wrong that you didn't even think was wrong. Maybe you ran a red light, or, and no one was hurt. Or maybe you jaywalked. Or maybe, you flicked a booger in public and a camera picked it up. This goes into that digital ID conversation. They don't allow for you to have access to your digital wallet. This is your central bank wallet. That's why we need cold storage wallets and not having them accessible on software, essentially. Hot wallets. Now, I do think that both are going to be beneficial, but get you a cold storage wallet, dadgummit. I prefer to use the Ledger, but there are many other forms of cold storage wallets. So we see that the Bahamas and in Nigeria, adoption is slowing, but that is not stopping the overall agenda. That's not stopping the central banks from still pushing for adoption and pushing or encouraging the government to put legislation on the books so that the central bank digital currency get adopted sooner. And I think, one of the better indicators, and this is one of the videos I wanted to show, was of a young lady. She was on a panel and she was talking about what happened during COVID and how the lockdown measures within Europe were totally different than in the States. So one of the things that they had was the introduction of a digital ID that basically showed your status in regards to vaccination, as well as like if you had any recent COVID test. And what happened was it was two apps. You had an app that could verify, and then you had an app that you had to get to be able to update your status. And because the one app that was used to verify was given to the public as well, we see people being denied at restaurants, at bars, medical facilities, and other places where here in America, we were able to have just what was it? Cards. There was paper passes to understand what your vaccination status was. All you do was just get a paper pass. But we see the difference in Europe with them using digital passes, where you can't get around digital identity. You can't get around the digital side. And that is what's coming to our money. That's what's coming. And we must be mindful of that. The other side in regards to talking about data control is programmability. I've talked about this many a times in my lives and on the content that I put out, but these central bank digital currencies are going to be programmable to the extent that you won't have the ability to, I'm sorry, not you. The central bank will have the ability to program those central bank digital currency coins that are into your wallet. They'll have the ability to program them as to how they can be used, how much can be spent on certain things. I think this is a good example. This is just a tweet and it's a meme, but hey, memes have some real life meaning. Programmable coupon used to control you by controlling what you are allowed to buy. Cash withdrawal denied. 3 injections overdue. Carbon limit reached. Unauthorized social post. Dadgummit. I tell you, this is very much forecasted in the show Black Mirror. And many other shows predict this type of stuff as well, but we see it in that show. So all this can give us an indication as to what this rollout is going to look like. Over time, I think there can't be too many major changes happening before the election. I don't think so. That's just not how politics work in the States. But after, come 2025 through 2030, oh, best believe we are going to see a lot of legislation being pushed around digital currencies and privacy and central banks and how we are to be controlled, essentially. The rollout is going to be chaotic, and it's also going to be similar to how it is done in other countries. Don't think that we just have it so good here in the States. We are moving towards one world order. Some countries may go about it one way, some countries may go about it the other way, but this destination is going to stay the same. And that's what's important to realize and to strategize around right now in these times. I'm working on developing coaching sessions to being able to take individuals through how to build up an asset portfolio for this new financial system and being able to survive and thrive in it. So stay tuned for that. But realize that just you understanding more of these, I guess, socioeconomic times that we're living in are going to be vital to your survival, really. Because, my theory on the end game, which is prophesied in the Most High's word, is that these central bank digital currencies are going to be in cahoots with the Antichrist system, and the mark of the beast. And that is why we have to learn about this stuff now. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. It's extremely, extremely vital that we continue to study to show ourselves approved as a workman unto Elohim with no reason to be ashamed, and be diligent in seeking the Most High first and His kingdom, and just being covered by the blood of Yahshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Make sure that you're making Him King in these times, not what BBC is saying, not what Yahoo News is saying, and not what society is saying. Be rooted in God's word. Put your faith in Him, for He gives us a peace that surpasses all understanding. And He said He'll never leave us nor forsake us, and He will cover us. We are talking about the Almighty God, Yahweh Adonai, sovereign over all of the things that are happening in the world, sovereign over all that. So put your trust in Him. I thank you for tuning in to this live here as we talked about this digital ID and central bank digital currency rollout. Forgive me for not being able to show the videos that I had prepared, but they will be showed at a later time because they are still in the queue. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to the Moneypot channel, and share this content with a loved one if you're feeling led to. Got some changes coming here to the way I'm doing lives. I might start showing my face, actually. Woo! Yes, yes. But stay blessed, stay healthy, stay prayed up. Peace.